Welcome back to Spa. We're in car with Maurizio Fortina in the second race of the weekend from the Lotus Cup Europe, and it's an absolutely superb race thus far as Fortina tries to find his way past Dennis van den Sarvel. Here come the race leaders. It's John Walker leading the way from Mark Speller, then in third place Christophe Legendre with just about everybody else in fourth. It's Mark Fullerlove with Laurent Febvre, and then Steve Williams. Romain Rotheroe, recovering from his earlier spin, is right on the tail of John Rass, as Fullerlove looks to the inside of Christophe Legendre into the bus stop chicane and doesn't find his way through. Rotheroe, however, has picked his way past Steve Williams. I think it's still Laurent Febvre holding the lead in that battle as we go in car with the Vieille Cunat right on the tail of Pete Story in the sky blue and orange 211. Well, up to La Source they go. Legendre maintaining that third position as Rotheroe finding John Rass rather hard to get past, which I think is something that car 122 Gregory Rass would affirm, because he's been sat directly behind John Rass all race long, has not been able to make that overtaking manoeuvre as 211 of Pete Story just pulls away a little bit from the exige of Vieille Cunat as they make their way towards the notorious Eau Rouge corner. Through Eau Rouge they go, and the Rasses are still as they are, so Romain Rotheroe has now found his way past John Rass. Well, the race leaders making their way up towards Les Combes, and this is how it has been all race long, with Mark Speller very much John Walker's shadow, but just not quite able to close the gap down by the extra half a car length or thereabouts that he really needs to make the manoeuvre. Then this superb tussle going on for third place. There's probably about 8 cars involved in this who could finish in third at the end of the race. And then this exige class tussle still with Rass's Maurizio Fortina in car with him. It's BJ Chong who's just come past us. BJ Chong leading the invitation class. Yes, it is number 38. So BJ having an excellent weekend at Spa here as he picks his way past Maurizio Fortina, who in wet qualifying was third on the grid, but a poor start has meant that he was being marred in battles for the lower reach of the top 10 all race long. As Romain Rotheroe looking to the inside of Laurent Febvre, and through he goes. So Rotheroe gaining the position as John Rass just momentary respite from Gregory Rass. So Steve Williams still to be able to reclaim those places that he lost at Les Combes a couple of laps ago, as we're back in car with Fortina as they all fan out as we go into the left-hander. No way past BJ Chong, I suspect, and we're possibly going to get somebody trying to pick their way up the order. Yes, we do. That's another of the exiges. I think it's Harry Steegmans in 128, so Harry Steegmans gaining a couple of positions as well. Now Fortina getting a little bit wide, a little bit juddery, but I think he's been able to make that move on BJ Chong. Yes, he has. So Fortina, well, with one hand that giveth, the other taketh away. So he's exactly as he was. He's lost a place in this lap. He's also made an overtaking manoeuvre. The leading duo go through, with then Mark Fullerlove next man along, with Romain Rotheroe, Christophe Legendre, and the rest of them all filing through. Some superb dicing we're being treated to in this second race of the weekend from the Lotus Cup Europe. As are we finally going to see the move from Steve Williams and Laurent Febvre? Yes, Febvre outbreaks himself across the curbs he goes. He comes on at a rather perpendicular angle to the circuit, and he's not conceded any places. So, well, you can argue about unfair advantage until the cows come home, but certainly Laurent Febvre ran a little bit wide and kept his foot in and rejoined the circuit exactly in terms of track position where he left it, but he runs wide again through the source, and this surely is going to be Steve Williams' opportunity. Yes, it is. He gives Laurent Febvre the opportunity of running onto the AstroTurf, and Febvre does just that. So Steve Williams gains the place on Laurent Febvre. Next man in his sights is Romain Rotheroe as they plunge down the hill and then begin the climb up through Eau Rouge. Well, here's the race leader, John Walker. Now, where's Mark Speller gone? Speller has disappeared from second place. Romain Rotheroe is the next man through. And then we've got Mark Fullerlove with Christophe Legendre, Steve Williams, but we've lost Mark Speller. So Speller's gone missing somewhere along the line. Laurent Febvre has also lost out to John Rass and is coming under increasing pressure from Gregory Rass. Then we've still got Pete Story in that tussle, keeping a watching brief on things as the field continue to stream out around the Spa-Francorchamps circuit, making their way through Eau Rouge as the late afternoon sun glints off the race leader John Walker as he begins to stretch his legs over Romain Rotheroe in second place. Third place is still Mark Fullerlove. Fourth, Christophe Legendre, although he is now being caught with some rapidity by Steve Williams. Now that Steve Williams has been able to get past Laurent Febvre, he's moving away from John Rass, and John Rass will be able to put the car of Laurent Febvre between himself and Gregory Rass, and it's also enabling Pete Story very much to join the mix as well. Well, there's Ken Savage, who is well up in the production class this weekend. An excellent weekend for Ken, one of the stalwart competitors in the Lotus On Track Elise Trophy and the Lotus Cup Europe, going very well at Spa. Well, here is Mark Speller. Just wonder what happened to him. He's running all on his own at the rear of the field. So Mark Speller, well, whatever the problem was, seems to have rectified itself. Here's a replay, and Speller, well, he's out of the car, he's inspecting the car, and then climbing back in. Well, that is audacious, if nothing else, from Mark Speller. So he's back in the fray, and clearly having had a look around the car, there's nothing that was too seriously wrong with it. So he is back in the mix. Well, here is John Walker leading the race, as he has done really very much since the lights went out. John Walker putting in an excellent performance in the dry here at Spa. He's got Romain Rotaro closing in on his tail, and then still Mark Fullerlove in third position. And then the battle between Steve Williams and Christophe Legendre as they make their way towards La Source, and Legendre doesn't feel the need to go defensive, and that could be an error because Steve Williams launches himself up to the inside of Christophe Legendre, gets a bit of a slide on, barges Legendre aside, says that'll do very nicely, gaining the position, and not really much Christophe Legendre could do about that. Steve Williams was determined, and well, Legendre possibly committed too early to taking the conventional racing line as they went through the Source. It left 2 or 3 cars widths for Steve Williams, and that was more than enough, so Williams gains the place. The race leader John Walker has got most of the length of the Kemmel Straight between himself and Steve Williams in 4th position. So Williams, although he's put the place on Christophe Legendre, he's still got a lot of work to do if he is to further work his way up the order. There's plenty of battles continuing throughout the order. It really gives you a wonderful view of the elevation changes here at Spa, this camera angle, as they plunge down the hill past the GT pits and the pits used in Spa 24 Hours, then climbing up through Eau Rouge. It's a wonderful circuit and the drivers absolutely adore it. As John Walker comes through in the lead of the race, still from Romain Rotaro, they're now well clear of Mark Fullerlove in 3rd position. We've got somebody going a little bit slowly there. He may have just had a slight aberration on the brakes as Walker through the left-hander he goes, and this is looking somewhat imperious here from John Walker. An absolutely dominant drive as Steve Williams now pulling clear of Christophe Legendre. So that decisive move, Steve Williams, and John Rass has also pulled clear of Gregory Rass. You can see that Gregory Rass, however, has made his way past Laurent Febvre, but the time that Gregory spent behind Laurent Febvre has been enough to give John possibly an advantage to win the class. Well, there goes Mark Speller, so he's almost a lap down, and probably ruining as well what might have been, because the next man who'll arrive in our shot in just a few seconds' time should be the race leader, John Walker, who has driven absolutely imperiously this afternoon. We're into the final lap of the race. Here comes the race leader, John Walker. So just the bus stop chicane between John Walker and the checkered flag. In these beautiful sunny conditions here at Spa, the drivers have thoroughly enjoyed themselves, and John Walker has very much been the class of the field as he just clips the curbs on the way to a very deserved win. So the second race in Lotus Cup Europe at Spa goes the way of John Walker. He takes the flag and the win, punching the air in delight, as in the background we've got a blow up from Mark Fullerlove. It all goes very, very wrong for Fullerlove on the line. So Steve Williams next man through, and then Christophe Legendre. Now, is Mark Fullerlove going to make it checker flag? No, he's not. What a disaster for Mark Fullerlove. After 30 minutes of racing, it's all gone wrong about 4 metres from the checkered flag, and because of that safety car, nobody's a lap down, and by my reckoning that means that Fullerlove is going to drop from 4th to 49th position. Absolute disaster for Mark Fullerlove as the rest of the field making their way across the line in the smoke screen. It's been an excellent race, although some very dramatic closing stages. Well, the final classification with the win to John Walker. 2nd place goes to Steve Williams, 3rd to Christophe Legendre, 4th John Rass winning the Exige class, and Gregory Rass rounding out the top 5. In terms of the class winners, the 211 class, the top 3 in the race, and a great tussle between Steve Williams and Christophe Legendre from 2nd and 3rd, Walker taking the honours. John Rass holding off Gregory Rass and Dennis van den Sarvel for Exige honours. Production class going the way of Ken Savage from Matthew Bartlett and Rob Austin. And in the invitation class, it's a double win this weekend from BJ Chong. David Harvey taking second and Sebastian Schwertner in third. Lotus Cup Italy, it's Fernando Vugliol who takes the win in the 211s from Guido Miglio and Vito Uzzieri, and in the Exige class, Matteo Castiglione from Maurizio Fortina, and then Mezzario Amoroni.
John, congratulations on a class win. How was your race?
Thanks. It was an eventful race, a really hard race. Mark Speller, who started on the front row with me, we were battling really, tooth and nail until about 2 or 3 laps from the end, and I now know what happened to him. His electrical cut-off switch went, which put him out of the running completely. That left me with nothing in the rearview mirrors except a very distant Roman.
And after the first corner I was in good position, but I was just behind Laurent Fèvre, and I spent a lot of time to try to overtake him, and at a certain point I realized the overtaking, and then I realized a good start, a good lap. So I think it's a good race because the objective was to finish before my brother.
And you have?
And it's done, so perfect.
It was a strange start. Everybody was slow off the line, so got off the line. Just had a good race with Matt. He passed me a couple of times, managed to get him back again. So good fun, nice to drive Spa in the dry.
Obviously we've got a lot of cars out there. Everyone's going as quickly as they want to. Shame about the safety car and the people came off. Hope they're all okay, get back on the grid soon. But no, had a really good day. Went as quickly as I could, and really pleased with the result.
This was it from a fantastic race weekend at Spa. We got some good weather in the end. Join us again for the season finale at Assen.